risk and uncertainty. So it's a graphical tool used in decision making under risk and uncertainty. It helps businesses. It can even help individuals to evaluate different choices by considering probabilities, potential outcomes, and associated risk. So when we are trying to solve questions on decision tree, there are two main points we have to consider. There is what we call decision points, and there's what we call the chance node. The chance node. Let me try and send the live streaming link to the various groups. So it's what we call the decision points or decision node and the chance node. The chance node can otherwise be referred to as uncertainty point. So before I move ahead, just like a recap to what risk is and to what uncertainty is all about. Risk is a situation where the future outcome can be predicted based on the fact that we have existing data relating to that particular outcome. While in the case of uncertainty, the future cannot actually be predicted because there are no existing data relating to that particular outcome. So risk involves probabilities of known different outcomes. That is, decision maker can estimate expected values using probabilities and payoff when it comes to risk. While uncertainty, probabilities are unknown or difficult to estimate in terms of uncertainty. When it comes to uncertainty. So decision makers rely on subjective judgments, expert opinion, or scenario analysis when it comes to uncertainty. So let's take note of that. You can watch the previous videos on this. So when it comes to decision tree, we use decision tree to handle risk and uncertainty likewise. Now, when you are presented with a question, you need to read critically and see the dimension of the question. In risk and uncertainty questions that involve decision tree, you must identify the possible choices. For example, the choice facing an organization can be either to invest in a project or not to invest in a project. So there will be a point for you to make a decision, and there will be various possible outcomes that will emanate from the decision you are making. Now, if you make a decision to invest in a project, the outcome can be that you get a return of a particular value. And when you don't invest, the outcome will be you not getting any return. So Once you define your decisions will have alternative. Then you identify the possible outcomes of your decision. The first step is you identifying, making a decision. Now, your decision will lead to different outcomes. Your decision will lead to different outcomes. Now, each decision leads to different possible future events. Now, your investments can either result into high sales or low sales, and it can result into market failure. So once you make your decision will result into different outcomes. These outcomes can then be linked with probabilities. That is, if probabilities are available, you assign them to each outcome. So where probabilities are not available, you use historical data or expert judgment, or you can use what we call market research. You can use market research in relation to the possible outcome. Now, once you've done all these, you can now determine your expected value from your decision tree. At this point, you now walk back to your first point of decision to see which decision should I make. Should I invest or should I not invest? So the whole essence of decision tree is that it still boils down to you calculating expected value for you to be able to make an informed decision. So based on the slide, I said a decision tree is a graphical representation of different possible decisions, their associated probabilities, and the expected outcomes. So it is commonly used in decision-making process to evaluate various alternatives and their potential risk and reward. That is decision tree is a pictorial representation of series of interrelated decisions using a decision node or a chance node. A decision node is in form of square. A chance node is a cycle. I don't have a pen to write on the screen because this would have been better with a good demonstration on the screen. So decision tree. Sometimes a decision might need to be taken in 2 or more stages, with the second stage decision depending on what is the outcome from the first stage decision. So the outcome of the first stage decision determines the next decision to be made. So a decision tree can be drawn to provide a methodical approach to calculating the expected value. So a decision tree is built to show all possible outcomes and associated probabilities. A decision tree is drawn from its roots up to its branches, and then once drawn, analyzed from its branches back to its roots. Yes, that's you walk forward, when you walk forward, then you walk backward. So you draw a decision tree and label it. You calculate the terminal value through a forward pass. Then you determine the values of the interior nodes through a backward pass. Then you recommend a course of action. So there are 2 different types of branching points on the tree: decision point and the outcome point. So as the name suggests, this is a point where a decision is made. The outcome point, an expected value, is calculated and related to the outcome point. So the following symbols are used for decision point and outcome point. So this is it. Decision point, you can see it, square. So this is a case where you want to make a decision, either to proceed with an investment or to scrap the business. So you make a decision. Now, your decision will lead to an outcome. will lead to an outcome. So the probability is often attached to outcome. You can see it here. This is a chance node or outcome point, and it's often associated with probabilities, the point where you calculate your expected value. And when you calculate your expected value at this point, you return back to the first stage of your decision. These outcome points will determine your decision at the first stage. This is not that edible, but I copied it from the ICANN part. You can make reference to it, the ICANN study test. That is an example I want to explain before we solve the other one. Though I'll not be writing anything. All what I'll be saying is already in my slide. Every of my solution, the diagrams are already in the slide. You just follow. So we have this example, expected value, that a company is considering whether to invest in a new project costing 12,000 naira, which has an 80% chance of being successfully developed. 80% chance of being successfully developed. It means the chance of it being unsuccessful is 20%. So if it is developed successfully, the profit, it means once you develop that project successfully, there will be another choice. There will be a chance node. The decision is for you to invest, and you investing can either be successful or not successful. It's in you developing rather. So when you develop, the development can either be successful or not successful. So when you don't develop, nothing will happen. So now, if it is developed unsuccessfully, the profit from the project will depend on whether the economic conditions are good or poor. So the profit expected depend on the economic conditions, which are forecast as follows. So economic conditions, we have good, we have poor. Profit or loss related to good is 50,000. The associated probability is 0.6. The loss related to poor economic condition is 20,000, and the probability is 0.4. Should the company undertake the project? Now, what is the first thing that a company is considering whether to invest in a new project? In a new project costing 12,000 naira, which has an 80% chance of being successfully developed. So the first thing is for you to develop the project. So you start with the decision that is being made. Will you develop? Will you not develop? So if you go ahead to develop, you have to face another risk. Either the development, the business will be successful or unsuccessful. So you can see this. You can see that the first decision, A, you develop or not to develop. If you decide to develop, you're trying to face uncertainty. You're trying to make a choice at this point. You're trying to see the chance of this decision being successful or unsuccessful. So when you develop, that is point B, what will happen is either you have it successful or unsuccessful. So at point B, you draw the possibilities of the success or failure of the project together with associated probability. So when you develop, the possibility of experiencing a good outcome is 0.8. The possibility of the project not being successful is 0.2. It's stated in the question that which has an 80% chance of being successful. They will not tell you the reverse. So it's you that will determine the reverse. So in the question we'll consider, they will just tell you that the probability of this happening is this. So the probability of it not happening will be determined by you, and it's not a big deal. It means the probability of being successful is 0.8. The probability of it not being successful will be what? 0.2. Now, it does not stop there. You still have to make another choice. Now, if it is successful, the possibility of you making profit or loss is given with associated probability. It's given with its associated probability. You can see that draw the possibilities of different economic prospects together with the associated probability. It's clearly stated in the question that if it is successful, the economic condition good, we have 0.6 associated probability with possibility of making a profit of 50,000. But with a poor economic condition, we have a probability of 0.4 with the possibility of making a loss of 20,000. So when you are faced with a question, you follow it in this order. The point of you making a decision will be represented with a decision node. The point of view, your decision resulting into options of choice to be made will be represented with a chance node, as it is seen on the screen. So let's look at these questions. Can somebody read? Just read. Let's see.
Combi PLC are having problem with one of their offices and have decided that there are three courses of action available to them. A. Shut down the office, raising proceeds of $5 million. B. Having an expensive reimbursement of the office costing $4 million. C. Having a cheaper reimbursement of the office at a cost of $2 million. If they do the expensive reimbursement, then a good result will yield a return of $13.5 million, whereas a poor result will yield a present value of only $6.5 million. If they alternatively decide to do a cheaper reimbursement, then a good result will yield a return of $8.5 million, whereas a poor result will yield $4 million. In either case, the probability of the reimbursement achieving a good result has been estimated to be 2/3. An independent company has offered to undertake market research for them in order to identify in advance whether the result of reimbursement is likely to be good or poor. The research will cost $200,000, and there is a 68% probability that it will indicate a good result. Unfortunately, the research cannot be guaranteed to be accurate. However, if the research indicates a good result, then the probability of the actual result being good is 91%. If the survey indicates a poor result, then the probability of the actual result being good is 13%. Combi have already decided that if they do have market research and if the research indicates a poor result, then they will only be prepared to consider the cheaper reimbursement. Use a decision tree to recommend what actions should be taken.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, this is a question that I've put forth on the platform over time. So it's expected that you studied it. Now, this company, Combi PLC, they are faced with making decision. Now, the first problem facing them is that they need to choose among three courses of action. That is what the question puts. But if you read further, you discover that it goes beyond three courses of action. Now, they want to make a decision either to shut down the office, have an expensive refurbishment that will cost them 4 million. Now, if they are to shut down the office, they will get a return. There will be an expected return of 5 million. If they are to refurbish the office using the expensive approach, it will cost them 4 million. To cost them 4 million. As we go ahead, there will be an expected return associated with expensive refurbishment. Take note. Now, the third choice is if they are to make a refurbishment, they have an option of doing a cheaper one. Still on this decision, an independent company has offered to undertake a market research for them. So it means they have to still wait to see the outcome of the independent research that will be carried out. So it means that they have, in the first decision, they have 4 possible options. Either to shut down, have an expensive refurbishment, have a cheaper refurbishment, and engage the service of an independent company. So I just want to explain this before I present the solution. Solution is because when you look at the solution, you can get confused. So let's explain very well. So the first decision they have to make, they have 3 options: to shut down. When they shut down, they'll get a return of 5 million. If they are to refurbish the office, they will incur a cost of 4 million when they go in the expensive way. When they adopt a cheaper approach, they will incur 2 million. And they have the option of waiting for the outcome of the market research. Now, looking at this question, if they engage in expensive refurbishment, they will incur 4 million. Yes. Then a good result, it means in relation to expensive refurbishment, they have 2 chances that a good result will yield. It means if the refurbishment is carried out, the return from that expensive refurbishment, the good refurbishment, it means expensive refurbishment is having 2 options, either good or bad. Either good or bad. When you are drawing the curve, expensive will have 2 chances, good or bad. So if they do expensive refurbishment, then a good result will yield a return of what? 13.5 million. Whereas a poor result will yield what? A return of what? 6.5 million. So for expensive, we have 2 options, 2 chances, good and bad. And the expected return for good is what? 13.5. For poor or bad is 6.5. 6.5. Take note of that. So if they alternatively decide to do a cheaper refurbishment, this is still on the option 1. Is having four course of action, decision to make there. So the shutdown is directly, we are not incurring cost in shutting down. We're not incurring cost in shutting down. For expensive refurbishment, we incur a cost of 4 million. And when we incur a cost of 4 million, we have 2 expected return in terms of good or bad. And the associated return is stated in the question, which I've mentioned, 13.5 and 6.5 when it is good and bad, respectively. So if they alternatively decide to do the cheaper refurbishment, then it means the cheaper refurbishment is also having 2 chances. That is good and bad. So if they alternatively decide to do a cheaper refurbishment, then a good result will yield a return, that is an expected return of 8.5, whereas a poor result will yield what? 4 million. That is still on the choice we have to make between shut down, expensive, cheap. Shut down is not having any option, no chances. You are shutting down, nothing like good or bad. But expensive is having the option of yielding a result of good or bad. Cheap is having the option of giving a result of good or bad. Now, when we go further, now in either case, the probability of the refurbishment achieving good results has been estimated to be 2/3. It means where you are seeing good on the chance node, the associated probability will be what? 2/3. What will now be the associated probability of bad or poor? Can I get a response?
1/3.
1/3.
Good. 1/3. So that when I present the solution, I will not get questions that where did we get this, where did we get that? So follow the explanation so that as I present the solution, it's a diagram already, so that is why I don't want to show it. Let's analyze the question. Let's see it. So in either case, the probability of the refurbishment achieving a good result has been estimated to be 2/3. Which either case? That is, in the case of good, the probability of good is 2/3. In the case of expensive, we have 2 options there, good and bad. When it is good in expensive, probability is 2/3. In cheap, when it is good, it is 2/3. And also when it is bad, in both scenarios, it is 1/3. Let's take note of that. So an independent company, this is also associated with the first decision. So we have 4 course of actions there. Take note of this because when I present the solution, some of us can get confused.
But how do we know that it's 1/3?
Now, 2
Or is that
ratio,
it?
no, 2/1 is what? In your book, write 2/1. So 2 plus 1 is what? 3. Let's assume
3 is
yes, 2 is for good, 1 is for what? for bad. So for you to get the ratio of good, it will be what?
Over 3.
For bad, it will be what? 1 over.
1/3.
1/3, okay.
So they will not tell you in the question. So an independent company, please follow, because I might not have time to go back and go back again. You just have to go and watch the videos. So an independent company has offered to undertake market research for them in order to identify in advance whether the result of refurbishment is likely to be good or poor. Now, Kobe PLC, they await the outcome of market research. That if the market research is good or poor, we now determine what decision they will take. So that will determine their decision. Take note of this point. It means market research, we have decision points. We have 2 decision points based on the result of the market research, because the outcome of the market research can either be what? Good or poor. So if it is good, they will now make a decision. Take note, if it is good, they will make what? A decision. And what will be the decision? The decision will be either to shut down. It means the decision will still boil down to those 3 options we have. Those 3 options we have up there. If the market research outcome is good, they will now make a decision. So if I present my solution, you see a box which is showing you that a decision is to be made. It means we need to make 3 decisions in this question. Decision 1 will give birth to 2 more decisions, and those decisions will result from market research. And what are those decisions? In market research, the outcome can either be good or poor. So when it is good, we'll make a decision. The decision will be, let's shut down. Can either shut down, and also these are possibilities now. We can either shut down, we can either engage in expensive refurbishment, or we can engage ourselves in cheaper refurbishment. So you have to read further that the research will cost 200,000. It means there is a cost associated with this research. The research will cost 200,000. And there is 68% probability that it will indicate a good result. It means if the good result is 68%, the bad result will be what?
32.
32%.
32.
Yes, 32%. Just take note of that. Yes. So, unfortunately, the research cannot be guaranteed to be accurate. The research cannot be guaranteed to be accurate. However, if the research indicates a good result, then the probability of the actual result being good is 91. It means from the market research, we have 2 chances: good results or bad results. So if the result happens to be good, that is, the chance is 68%, and the chance of it being bad is 32%. So from the good result, we make a choice. We make a decision. That is the number 2 decision from the market research. The 2 chances, good and bad. From good, we make a decision of either to engage in expensive refurbishment, or to engage in a cheaper refurbishment, or to shut down. Now, take note. If you are engaging in expensive refurbishment, it will result into good or bad again. It will result into good or bad. And from the question that the actual result of being good, or the actual probability of being good, is what? 91%. So the probability of being bad will now be what?
9%.
9%.
9%.
So now, when the result is good, take note, I'm emphasizing again, we have 3 decisions to make: expensive, cheap, or shut down. We've analyzed expensive. Now, when it is cheap, it will also result into 2 outcomes, 2 results, either good or bad. When it is good, the actual results probability will either be what? 0.91. Bad will be 0.09. And when it is to shut down, you don't have any issue with that. It's just for you to sell and get 5 million naira. So once you are shutting down, you don't have option of outcome being good or bad, because you are shutting down. What you need is to recoup your money, to get your money. So there is no any chance of being good or being bad, because before you shut down, you negotiate with the buyer. So, and you must come to a consensus on the appropriate price that will be favorable to both parties. So in that case, you don't have the option of good or bad. Now, that is the analysis of good in relation to market research. Let's look at bad. If it is bad, what will be the outcome? Are we going to have expensive? Are we going to have cheap? Are we going to have shut down? Let's read that if the survey indicates a poor result, then the probability of the actual results being good, the probability of the actual result, take note of this statement again. If the survey indicates a poor result, that is the market research, from bad results, we have a decision to make, either to engage in a cheap refurbishment, an expensive refurbishment, or shut down. But there is a clause here that if the survey indicates a poor result, then the probability of the actual result being good is 10%. Combi have already decided that if they do not have market research, and if the market research indicates poor results, then they will only be prepared to consider a cheaper refurbishment. It means if the outcome of the market research is bad, we don't need to consider expensive refurbishment. We'll only consider what? Make a decision on cheap or shut down. Take note of this, so that when I present the solution, when you analyze, you understand how the three have been drawn. So when the result is bad, based on this last paragraph, you have to read it very well. That if the survey indicates a poor result, then the probability of the actual result being good is 13%. So it means the probability of the results of the decision of the outcome to be bad will be what? If the good
7%.
87, good,
87%.
good, yes. But the two choices you have to make, decision you have to make, will be cheap and shut down. There will be no expensive, because it's already stated clearly that if the research indicates poor results, then they will only be prepared to consider the cheaper refurbishment. So it means they have the option of choosing between the cheap refurbishment or to shut down. So expensive, this choice will not be available. So when it is cheap, it is either good or bad. So when it is cheap, when it is good, the probability is what? 13%. And when it is bad, related to cheap, it will be what?
87.
0.87. Good. Now,
7%.
yes, on each of the choice, take note, decision is different from option or choice. Decision is the final point. You have to evaluate your choices to make a decision. You evaluate your choices to make a decision. Now, associated with each choice, with good, there is a return on investment. Associated with bad, there is a return on investment. It's clearly in the question that if they do expensive refurbishment, then a good result will yield a return of what? 13.5. Whereas a poor result will yield a return of what? 6.5. So on every choice, there is an expected return. There is an expected return. When it is good, it is 13.5 million. When it is bad, it is 6.5 million. So you multiply this expected return with the associated probability to get the expected outcome. To get the expected outcome. Let me present I hope it will be clear. Let's see the solution now. So I'll take the explanation further. Can you see this?
Jesus.
So if you have the question, if you have the question with you, so read the question and try to picture the statement in the question with this diagram. You see, the first point of decision is 1. Is numbered 1. What are the various decisions we have to make? 1, shut down, expensive refurbishment, cheap refurbishment, market research. Market research, you can see. So when you are shutting down, you get a return of what? 5 million. When you are making a choice of expensive refurbishment can either result in an outcome of good or bad. When it results into a good outcome, the expected return is 13.5 million. The probability of being good is 2/3. Of being bad is 1/3. The expected return, or the return, is 6.5. 6.5. So what I'm trying to say is that this probability for point A, for A, will be multiplied 2/3 multiplied by 13.5. 13.5. Then 1/3 multiplied by 6.5. You add both results. It will give you the expected value for this point, this choice here, this choice A. Now, you have a decision to make. A decision of going with a cheaper refurbishment. Now, the chances.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, but the choices are either good or bad. You say we should add it together, the sum.
The choices are good or
And
bad?
bad. Yes, 2/3 of good and 1/4
3. Yes.
of bad. Yes, of bad.
Yes. So now,
Okay.
for A, the expected value for this point A here will be 2/3 multiplied by the return. This is return, 13.5. 2/3 of good multiplied by 13.5
9 million.
9 million.
plus the probability of bad, 1/3 multiplied by the return when you made a bad, when the results turn out to be bad. The return when the outcome is bad, 6.5 multiplied by 1/3. When you get your outcome, the results, you add to give you the expected value of making this choice here. To give you the expected value at point A. At point A. When you make a decision that is cheap, a decision of cheap refurbishment, you will incur a cost of 2 million. Take note. Take note of this cost, because your expected value for you to make a decision, the outcome, you less all these costs you incur for you to be able to make a decision, because the choice, the decision you have to make will depend on the result with the highest value. Now, take note, all the results we will get here, they are not the basis of our decision, because the results will have to be run back to this point. Every decision we have to make will fall back to this point. This is our major points. So all these factors will still boils down to number 1. But let's go so that we'll get it better. So when you have to make a cheap refurbishment, the outcome can either be good or bad. Now, the expected return when you are going with a cheaper refurbishment is 8.5, is in the question. When it is good, when it is bad, the expected return it's 4 million. The associated probability is also clearly stated in the question. When it is good, it will be 2/3. When it is bad, is 1/3. So for you to determine the expected value at point B, you multiply 2/3 by 8.5 million, 1/3 multiplied by 4 million. Now, moving to the market research. The market research, the outcome will also determine decisions to be made. That is why you can see these 2 points, 2 and 3. They are points where you have to make decisions. In relation to the market research, you have 2 outcomes based on the research. The outcome will determine the decision you will make. So the outcome is good. If the outcome is good, you make a decision. You make decisions either to go with expensive refurbishment, to go with a cheap refurbishment, or to shut down. So when you're going with the expensive refurbishment, it will either result into good or bad outcome. So when it is good, in the question, it's stated 0.91 in terms of the market research. You can refer to the question. And the expected return will be 13.5. because it's good. When it is bad, since this is 0.91, as stated in the question, when it is bad, the associated probability will be 0.09. So the yield, the return, will be 6.5 million. So in this like manner too, you multiply this by this, multiply this 0.09 by 6.5, you add your result. You add your results, that is point C. When you add your results, we'll show that. We'll show this, we'll show the calculation. So still on good results, you have a decision to make, either to go with a cheaper refurbishment. And when you're going with it, in the question, you will incur a cost. You incur a cost of 2 million. So when you go with the cheaper refurbishment, it's either you have a good outcome or a bad outcome. And the associated probability would be 0.91. The yield is stated in the question. Stated in the question. So when it is good, 8.5. When it is bad, it's 4 million. When it is, in the case of shutdown, you don't have any choice to make. It's either you shut down, and that is it. So this is in the case of good, you making a decision on good. When it is bad, which is the third decision you make, when it is bad, the probability is 0.32. So what decision do you have to make when the outcome of the research is bad? Is either you go with a cheap refurbishment or you shut down. Somebody will ask me, why are we not having expensive here? I've already explained that at the tail end of the question, that when it is a bad or a poor result, they decided to go with the cheap refurbishment. And that is why we are considering cheap and just shut down instead of considering the expensive. So when it is cheap, the two options is good and bad, and the associated probability is 0.13 and 0.87, and the outcome, the yield, the 8.5 for good, and for bad, be 4 million. Be 4 million. So what do we do? Now, please, you will now solve expected values. In your book, you write. Maybe you want me to write. Let me show it. Let's now try to make our decision. Expected values. Please, you need to study that that tree very well, even after the class, because I'll send a question so you just read very well and see how the trees is being plotted. I've given a good explanation about that. So in case you are still confused, you can go back to it again. And so at point A, what will be our expected value? At point A, what will be our expected value?
11.7.
11 points. Okay, let's just show it so that everybody will follow. 2/3 multiplied by 13.5 million.
It's not necessary to approximate it.
If you're approximating, you'll be consistent. If you're using 2 decimal places, approximating to 2 decimal or to 3, you'll just be consistent with what you're doing. Yes. So plus plus 1 over 3 multiplied by 6.5. So the result will be 11.17.
11,166.
11,166,666.67.
So at point B, the expected value will be what? 2 over 3 against 8.5,
7 million.
and 1 over 3 against 4 million.
Point.
At point B, we have it as 2 over 3 multiplied by 8.5 plus 1 over 3 multiplied by 4 million. We have it as what? 7 million.
7 million.
7 million.
At point C, let's see what's happening there. At point C, it will be 0.91 against 13.5 M, 0.09 against 6.5. So 0.91 multiplied by 13.5 plus 0.09 multiplied by 6.5.
Roughly, it's
8700.
At point D, we have it as 0.91 against 8.5, 0.09 against 4 million. So we have it as 0.91 multiplied by 8.5 plus 0.09 multiplied by 4 million. So we have it as what? 8.05.
8.09.
At point E, let's see. At point E, 0.13 against what? 0.87. 0.13 against 0.87. Zero point 0.87 multiplied by what? M. So we have it as what?
4.585.
M. All the decisions, the options from C to E will boil down to F, because you can see the market research gave birth to all this, So we have to decide if we are going by the market research, will it be the good? Which decision are we going to go by? Will it be the expensive, the cheap, or we shut down? If we are going by the good, making a good decision, if we're going by the bad decision, which choice, which decision are we going to make? Will it be the cheap or the shut down? So to solve this, to determine the value of F, C and D, between C and D, which is giving us the highest expected value? C and D, which is giving us the highest expected value?
C.
It's
C.
D.
What?
Okay.
C is giving us.
It's bigger.
C is giving us the highest expected value.
C is giving us
7.
a C.
12.87, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, since C is giving us the highest expected value between C and D, it means if we are to make a decision, we'll go with C, right?
Yes.
We'll go with what? C.
C.
Now, in going with C, we incur a cost. Do you understand? We incur costs of 4 million.
Yes.
So what will now be the profits, our gain, if we are to go with this option of expensive refurbishment? Since we are getting an expected return of 12.87 and we incur a cost of what? 4 million.
4 million.
So what will be our expected value?
8.87.
0.
Good. 8.87.
7-0.
What is the associated probability of good? You know, it started from here. This gave birth to all this. So the probability associated with this good result is what? 0.68.
0.68.
So 0.68 multiplied by 8.87. Let's show that.
6.0316.
6.0316.
All right. Let me just let me show that, because it can be confusing for anybody going through it again. So for F, the highest among those decisions, those options, is C, which is 12.87 minus, how much do we spend in refurbishing? 4 million.
4 million.
And we get what? 8.87. So this 8.87, we multiply it by the probability of 0.68.
8.
So we get what there?
6.0316.
6.03116. All right. So that is for good. That is for good regarding market research. Now, for bad, results, what will happen? Let's look at bad. For bad results, now, when we go with the cheap refurbishment, the expected outcome, which is E, is what?
4.585 million.
Good, 4.585. Now, when you relate it with shutdown is what?
5 million.
5
Which is
million.
having the, yes, which is having the highest result there.
Yes.
Which is having the highest expected value. Shut down, right?
Yes, sir.
So we go with shut down. We go with shut down because it's having the highest return compared to when we engage in the cheap refurbishment. So that is why we'll be using 5 million. 5 million multiplied by what? $5 million multiplied by what? The associated probability.
0.32.
0.32 multiplied by 5. So once you do that, let's do this.
1.6.
1.6.
Yes, 1.6. So you need to add. You add the results. When you add for both columns, the result will be what?
7.6316.
7.6316. 7.6316. All right. Good. So now, let's now go to, now coming back to this number 1, coming down to this number 1, the expected value with shutdown is what?
5 million.
5 million.
5 million.
Now, when it comes to expensive refurbishment, the expected value is what?
7 million.
4 million.
The expected value is what?
It's 4 million.
11.17 million.
7 million.
Yes, 11.17 million, right?
7 million, yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. 11.17 million. How much did we incur
4 million.
for expensive? 4 million.
4 million.
It's 4 million. No.
These results, let me see. Okay, let me put this there. Sorry, let me write this down. We need to compare something. 76316. So this 11 million, 11.17 minus the cost we incur will give us what?
7.17 million.
7.17. Now, for cheap, expected value is what?
7 million.
7. And the cost incurred is what?
2 million.
2 million.
So we have it as
4 million.
7 minus 2.
5 million.
5 million. 5 million. Now, the next is market research. For market research, the expected value is what?
7.6316.
Yes, 7.6316. We incur how much?
0.2 million.
1.2 million.
0.2 million. It means what?
We have total 7.4316.
No, what is 0.2 million? Tell me the right figure.
Okay. 200,000.
I want you to speak like
320,000.
200,000.
I want you to speak like an accountant. So it's 200,000. So 7.6316 minus 2 will give us what?
5.6316.
7 points. So which is
5.6316.
5.6316.
okay, 5.6316. Okay, this what we are doing, we've already done it before. Yes, we've done it at this point. At this point, we're just yes, we've duplicated it here. We worked it here already. That is why I'm bringing this value here. So we've already considered that value here. So let me make okay. All right, let me just show a working here. Let me show something here to make it more clearer. Let me show you working there. So please, somebody should help me multiply 0.68 multiplied by, okay, 8.87. We have what value? 60316.
60316.
6.0316.
Yes, then 0.32 multiplied by 5. We have what?
1.6.
1.6.
So you add it to 6.0316. We have what?
7.6316.
It's the same answer.
Okay. No, I don't want to get that. Okay.
I don't think we have removed that 0.2.
Okay. Let me just add another column. Let me show what I want to show. Insert rows below. So when we work it this way, okay, I think it's correct. It's correct. So what I just want you to do, since we are working in millions, it will just be minus 0.2. Yes, minus 0.2. We get what?
7.4316.
Yes, 7.43.
4.4316.
Yes, 316. So now, this is the A. The A is what? Is expensive refurbishment. This is expensive refurbishment. This is cheap refurbishment. This is market research, outcome of market research. And shutdown is what? The value of shutdown is what? 5.
5.
Shutdown is 5 million. Now, we are to make a decision. What will you advise Kobe based on this outcome? These are expected outcome. This point here. So Kobe should go with which option?
Market research.
Yes, so Kobe will make market research. We go with market research, but take note, it does not stop there. If Kobe should go with market research is having 2 options, isn't it? Good and bad. So which of these options among the market research which of these options among the market research, when you make a decision, for example, it's an exam hall, and you just say Kobe should go with the option of market research, you need to go further to analyze that should go with the good results. So we should go with the good results. So, but let's see, if Kobe is going with market research, will Kobe go with the good results or the bad results? The good results. Why? Because it's giving us what? Value of what?
8.095.
So we go with the good results because it's giving us the highest value. The highest value. So please, this decision tree, it needs practice. You have to go over it again and see how you can analyze on your own. So please, when you see question on decision tree, do what you know. You definitely get a mark. Follow it. Follow the statement as they come. Yes. Understand the points where you need to make decision. Understand the points where choices are to be made. So just follow it and you get it. You get it. For some people that are fortunate to have done this in undergraduate, fine. They will know it more better. Those who do transportation model in some of their courses, something similar to this. So please, I'll send a question. I'll look for a question on decision tree and forward to us so that we can make attempt. And also, I will send a link to one of the classes I took, not on APES, on divisional performance and transfer pricing. Though I'm not through with the transfer pricing class with the people I'm doing it with, but I've done parts. So I'll just send the link to the video to the WhatsApp group so you can gain more knowledge from that. I know the other tutor have taken is his own parts, but I've just decided to do a record of my class with some other persons. So I will send the video, the link to the platform. You can learn on divisional performance and transfer pricing. I've just introduced transfer pricing in that video, but in my subsequent video, I'll do there's also a question from the ICANN Pathfinder related to transfer pricing. So I will also send that when I'm done with that. So you can do well to read further on this. But thank you very much. Let's have a blessed week. I don't know if I will come up to the chance. I will be available tomorrow to let you know. So let's have a blessed week ahead.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a million.